Welcome to all Alain fans, family, and friends. Welcome, Ben. Welcome, man.
Hey.
How's
Thank
it
you for
going?
having me.
It's been a long time. Yo, always. Yeah.
It's been a minute. It's been a minute. I think the last time I came, I had a hot take on Zion and Michael Porter Jr., but I'm
Yeah, I remember
excited.
that hot take. Yeah, there's gonna be more hot take because there's gonna be a lot of things about basketball.
Let's do
But
it.
we had a good week for soccer, man.
We
Like
did. We
the
did.
Champions League was good.
Still
But
fun.
it's yeah. I remember I was talking to earlier. It was fun,
Yeah.
like the Bayern PSG game.
Yeah.
But the fun is not over
Yeah.
because you have a big game and then Clasico.
We
Like
do.
Vince said, probably the best soccer match in the world.
Yep.
How you feeling about El Clasico this
Yeah.
Saturday?
It's interesting because over the last few years, I would say that the Clasico is no longer necessarily the most riveting game. It's still the most popular game in the world. But it should be interesting because both teams need to win, right? Atletico lost over the weekend, which
Yeah.
will give Barcelona a good opportunity to get 3 additional points. Real Madrid, I still feel like is probably the better collective out of all those three teams when they're clicking. They're not necessarily always clicking. And Real Madrid will have an opportunity to at least solidify themselves as the second position. Still a lot of games to be played. I believe 15 more games to be played, and it's less than 5 points separating at all. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see both teams play, especially since Barcelona has been playing a little bit better lately.
Yeah. Barcelona's been playing better after January. So they're more into like the system. Like Coleman is doing a
Yep.
better job.
Yep.
It feels like a final for both teams, like you're saying.
Really
You got
is.
Barcelona. They still have a final versus in the Copa del Rey versus Atletico Bilbao. Real Madrid is still in the Champions League and La Liga, but they're
Yep.
fighting for both, and it's like a final for them. Do you have like a prediction of the lineup of both of these teams?
Yeah,
Like
it's gonna be
a version of what you think
yeah,
they're gonna put out.
I think that's a tough one, right? And it's particularly tough for Real Madrid because they play on Wednesday, right? They play on Wednesday against Liverpool,
Yeah.
which means that Zidane needs to be a little bit more conscious on how he uses his lineup. Now, Zidane is not a risk-averse coach. You know what he's going to play in big games. He's going to have his mid three that he always plays, right? He's not going to change that. And up front, he's been rotating with Asensio, Rodrigo, Benzema's going to be up top, so that's probably not going to change. Unfortunately, I don't think he has a lot of maneuver to change things much, to be quite honest, because Ramos is injured and Varane has COVID-19.
Yeah.
So I suspect we'll be seeing a very similar lineup as we've seen before. We may see Marcelo just to conserve Fernando Mendy for the Champions League game. But I believe he's probably going to play it straight, to be quite honest. The same lineup we've seen. Barcelona is probably going to play the same 3-4-3 they've been playing, right? They've had some success with oh my god, how am I forgetting his name? Like the Dutch kid, the Dutch midfield
Frankie?
playing Frankie. Yeah, they've had some success with Frankie de Jong playing as a center back. It's gonna be interesting to see if they change things up a little bit to put a little bit more assurance in the midfield. Pedri has been starting for them, and he's good, but he's also really young. But I think we're gonna see very conventional lineups with Zidane probably being a little bit more cautious with rest for his Champions League game on Wednesday.
That's fair. Do you see Vinicius starting
I
maybe
think
after a
so.
big game?
I think so. So Vinicius is like we were talking about Neymar pre-production, and Vinicius
Yeah.
is probably the most polarizing. I still don't know what my opinion is about him. No, but the thing is, the thing with Vinicius is he doesn't cheat the game, right? Maybe he's not as good one-on-one in isolation as you want him to be, and I know for a fact he's not as good in isolation as I want him to be, right? But he does play with a lot of energy. He will defend and he'll run a lot. And by the way, if he figures this thing out as he maybe shown that he made a step forward, you got to give him an opportunity to start. And he's like, what, 20 years old, 21 years old? You got to believe he's going to start both games, both against Liverpool and Barcelona on that right wing, that left wing, excuse me.
And also like Alba and Des are important also for Barcelona.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that maybe Zidane is gonna do that, put in Vinicius because of that, so he can prevent them
Yeah,
from going forward?
yeah, it's gonna be really interesting because I think the other choice that he could have, right, would be to start both Vinicius and Rodrigo on the wings, right?
Yeah,
Go for quickness on both wings to attack both players. I think it's fair to say that Alba is no longer that great of a defender as he used to be. And Sergio Dest is like a really, really good offensive player, and we still have to like figure out whether he is a good defensive player or not. I think Vinicius is definitely starting. It's gonna be very interesting to see whether Zidane sticks with Asensio for steadiness as opposed to Rodrigo for acceleration and whatnot. And you know what? I may be wrong in this one too. He may start with Fefe Valverde, by the way, who might be a good option as well on the wing. He's shown that he can be a good option in the wing as well on the famous like 4-3-2-1. So basically, Fefe is kind of like this guy who's kind of like roaming around and attacking.
Yep. And one last question before we leave. Varane, like you said, Varane and Ramos is not going to play. Is that a major weakness for Real Madrid? And how do you see Barcelona using that weakness against him?
So it is a weakness, but it's not a big weakness. Let me tell you why. Varane has been one of the best center backs in the game over the last 10 years. Ramos is a legend, maybe less of a good center back per se, but good for motivation, good for goal scoring, good for all of the stuff he does as a captain and as a leader. I generally think Nacho and oh my God, the Brazilian center back that played that was at Porto, Militao. I generally think they're good. They're good. Nacho is a good player, and Nacho plays for the Spain national team, even though he doesn't start for Real Madrid, because he's a quality player, and he played really well, by the way, in the Champions League. I think they're going to be fine. I think the only issue with two center backs that don't necessarily always start is communication. You're a former soccer player, Richie. You know that communication between the two lines and the goalkeeper, that's important. But I think those players are actually quite good. And hopefully they won't be exploited. I don't think it's a situation like Trent Alexander-Arnold where they're going to target one of them. I actually think they're both going to be fine.
All right. Score predictions for Saturday?
Real Madrid's going to win this one. 2-1.
2-1.
Benzema's going to score.
Benzema's going to score for sure.
Yeah.
All right, man. Thank you, Ben, for everything. Thank you for coming in. Hopefully we have a good El Clasico Saturday, man, because it feels different than like the previous ones.
Yeah, I think I hope we get more quality. I think the truth of the matter is, I think I tweeted the last Clasico, maybe the Clasico from last year, is that those teams are no longer as good as they used to be. Doesn't mean that they can't play well, right? Real Madrid just beat Liverpool very, very well on Wednesday. They have the players who've won the games, but they're no longer as good as they used to be. It's a sign that there needs to be some new blood in both teams, to be quite honest. It's also a sign that Barcelona in particular has not necessarily bought well. Real Madrid has some issues. I mean, obviously the big asterisk is Hazard, right? If this signing pans out, maybe they're in a better position than they are, and this signing has not panned out, right? Yeah. But the truth of the matter is both teams need new blood, and both teams are not the best in the world right now. And it's not a coincidence that Barcelona is not in the Champions League right now. And I was reading an article that was saying that Real Madrid wouldn't even be favored against Chelsea in the semifinals, which is insane to me. But, it is the new world.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much, Ben. All right, guys. See you next time.